Okay, here I am. I'm just going to use regular yarn because I cannot find the jute twine. I looked everywhere. So I don't know if I gave it to someone or what. But anyways, I'm just going to use regular yarn. You could do it with regular yarn. I don't know how durable it is though when it's outside. I think the jute twine is the best thing to use. So, sorry, I was going to do a magic circle to start. You don't have to do a magic circle. You can just do a chain of 6 and then just attach it. But I'm going to do it with the magic circle method. So there's your magic circle. And then you make 6 single crochets into that oh no, actually you have to make a 1 stitch in order to secure the magic circle. And then you do 6 single crochets in the magic circle. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So there you have it. You start out with 6 single crochets in the magic circle. And then you tighten up your magic circle. And then what I like to do is I like to put a stitch marker in the very first stitch, or actually not in the very first stitch because we have to work in the very first stitch. I'm going to put it in the very last, the one I just finished with, the one I just did, so that I know that that is my the last place that you need to work. And then you'll know, because we're working in the round and we're using a magic circle, then we won't get lost. And it's a little guide. So you make your magic circle and you do your 6 single crochets in the magic ring. And then we're going to do 2 single crochets in each of the... Alright, okay, so go into the first single crochet that you made. I just had to stop the camera to look at it really close because I couldn't see. So we're going to do 2 in each of these single crochets. So we should have 12 by the time we reach or by the time we get to the stitch marker, we should have 10. So that's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So now we remove the stitch marker and we're going to make the last 2 and where the stitch marker was. That's the last stitch. 1 and 2, and that makes 12. So that's your first round. Let's tighten that up again. Okay. Put the stitch marker back. And then we're going to make 1 single crochet in the first stitch and then 2 in the next. Okay, so round 3 we have to make 18. So you go into that first single crochet and you do 1, you go into the second and you do 2. Like that. Then you go into the next one, you do 1, you go into the next one and you do 2. All the way around this magic circle. The next one you do 1. The next one you do 2. Very easy. The next one you do 1. And the next one you do 2. Just like this. The next one you do 1. The next one you do 2. The next one you do 1. And the last one where the stitch marker is, we're going to make 2 single crochets. And that's the end of the round once we do that. 1 and 2, and we should have 18 single crochets in this round. So the next one, let me put the stitch marker back on because I do not want to get confused and lose my spot. And then for the next one, what we do is we're going to do 24. So we're going to do 2 in each. No, we're going to do 2 single crochets. Oh yes, yes. We're going to do just what we did before, but we're going to do 2. So you go into the next single crochet, you do 1, and then go into the second single crochet and you do 2, and then you go into the third single crochet and you do 2 in that same single crochet. So then you go into the next, you make 1, go into the next, you make 1, go into the third one, and you make 2 in that chain space. And you continue all the way around. When you get to this, you should be doing 2 in the last stitch, and we should have 24. So I will meet you back at the end of the round. Okay, I'm at the end of the round. I took out the stitch marker, so I'm just going to make my last 2 in that same single crochet. So we should have 24. And I wouldn't worry too much if you miss a stitch here and there, because this is just going to get hung up outside just to scare away those wasps or hornets or whatever they're called. So the next round we have to make 30. So we're going to do 3. I'll just do a couple to start with. So go into that first one and you make 1, go into the second one, you make 2, go into the third one, and you make 3, and then you go into the fourth one and you make 2 in that same space. So then you go into that next single crochet and you do 1, go into the next one, 2, the next one, 3, and the fourth one, 2 single crochets. So just keep doing that all the way around till you get to the stitch marker, and I'll meet you back. Okay, I'm at the end of the round. I took out the stitch marker. I'm just going to make my last 2 single crochets in that stitch. So you see how it's growing? I'm just going to keep doing this. The next one I believe is making 4 and 2. 4 and 2, 4 and 2. Yeah, we got to do 4 and 2. So I'll just do a few in the beginning. So you do 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 2 in that same stitch. Then start again. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 2. 1 and 2. So just continue doing this all the way till you get to the stitch marker. When you get to the stitch marker, you should be making the last stitch should be 2 in one space. So I'll meet you back at the end of this round. Okay, I'm at the end of the round, so I'm going to make my last 2. Just like that. And now we're going to do 5. So just keep increasing until you get it kind of to the width that you want it to be. I'm just going to do a few more rounds because this is just for demo purposes, but the more you do, like each time, so now we're going to do 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, all the way around. And then you can do 6 all the way around till you get it to the, I guess, to the width that you want. And then we just build on top of that, and then we start to decrease. It's pretty simple, but I will do the next round with you. So we're going to do 5 this time, right? So that was 36 we should have had. And now we're going to do 5 and 2, 5 and 2. So go into the first, you do 1. Second, you do 2. Third, you do 3. Fourth, you do 4. And 5, you do 5. And then the 6th one you make 2 single crochets in the same space. So now you do it again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 2. 1 and 2 in the same space. I'll do one more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you do 2. And just continue this fashion. So I will meet you back when I get to my stitch marker. Meet you back. Okay, I'm at the end. Last one, I took the stitch marker out already. So I'll have to make my last 2. So that should be 42. There should be 42 single crochets in there. So maybe I'll just do one more. This is just a little one for demo purposes. You could probably still use it, but you should make it in that jute twine color, which is kind of like a beige, because that's what they kind of look like in nature. And the jute twine looks so real, and it really confuses those wasps. So now we're going to do 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we did 6 in the first 6, 1 in each, I mean. 1 single crochet in each, and then when I get to the 7th, you make 2. So that's an increase. So now we're going to do 6 again. Let's do one more pattern. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then in the 7th one you make 2. Just like that. Okay, so keep going. I'll meet you back at the stitch marker. Okay, I'm almost at the end, so I got to do my last 2. So I'm going to remove my stitch marker and make 2 more single crochets in that same single crochet. So I'm going to stop here, but you can keep going. You can make it as wide as you want. So you could do another stitch, so the next one would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 2. 7, and then 2, 7, and then 2, all the way around. So you make it as wide as you like. This is just a small one I'm doing for demonstration purposes. I don't have a lot of yarn, but I mean, I did one for my son-in-law and it looked so real with the jute twine. It was incredible. So, and it worked because we hung it up outside where they were like congregating, these yellow jackets or whatever they are, wasps or hornets, whatever they're called. And they disappeared. They left as soon as we hung up that mock nest, that fake nest. So now all we have to do is now we're going to make it tall. So we're just going to go in each one and just work around for as many rows as you want to make it tall. And again, I like the stitch marker there, so I don't know. You don't have to do that, but I find that it helps, so I kind of know where I am, where I'm supposed to start and where I'm supposed to end. And that pattern that I found, they used Plarn. But you know what? Get your hands on some jute twine. It's just as good, if not easier, because you just grab a roll of that and you can make yourself a couple of rolls and make yourself 2 or 3, depending on how bad your problem is. I know some places are still having an issue with that. So it depends on where you live, right? Here in the northern hemisphere, we are ending our summer. We're getting into fall. And I'm sure in the southern hemisphere, it's the opposite, right? So you might be having to deal with that coming up into your spring and summer. So I'm just going to keep going around, and I'm going to do, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 rows. See how tall I want it, and then I'll come back and I'll show you how I decrease and finish this project. All right, so I did a few rounds. I don't know how many, I didn't count, but you just kind of have to eyeball it. So I made it to about, this is maybe 2 inches. I have to measure it. And then we're going to start to decrease so that it gets smaller, and then you stuff it. So to decrease, you make 5 single crochets. Actually, we did 6, so let's do 6. Yeah, because we kept doing 6 and then 2, 6 and then 2. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6. And then we start to decrease it by stitching 2 stitches together. So I'll just do it slowly. So you go into that first stitch, pull up a loop, and then go into the second loop right beside it, the second stitch, pull up a loop, and then stitch it together. And then you just repeat this. So now we're going to do another 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then we do 2 together. So you go in, pull up a loop, go into the second one, pull up a loop, and pull through all those loops. So let's just carry on doing that. 6 and then 2 together, 6, 2 together, all the way around to the stitch marker. Meet you back at the stitch marker. Okay, let's try that again. I moved the stitch marker in a different direction so I wouldn't keep opening it. So now we do 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we do 2 together. 1, 2, and that's like that. I'll repeat it again. I'll go slower, sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then to do 2 together, you insert into 1 stitch, pull up a loop, and then don't finish the stitch, but go into the second loop and then pull up another loop. Go into the second stitch, pull up a loop, yeah, and then all. Okay, let me just show you that again. I ran out of memory. So you go into the first stitch, pull up a loop, go into the second stitch, pull up a loop, and then pull through all. And then we just carry on this way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, go into that. Now we're going to do the decrease. Go into that one, pull up a loop, go into the next one, pull up a loop, and pull through all 3 loops, and that's your decrease. So let's just carry on doing that till you get to the stitch marker. I'll meet you back. Okay, so I'm near the end, and what I'm finding is that I'm not going to be able to do 5. So I'm just going to do, it's just a hornet's nest, so I'm going to do 1, and then I'm going to do 2 together in the last 2. So if you find that you don't have exactly the right amount, don't sweat it. It's just a hornet's nest. It doesn't have to look perfect. It just has to look similar to a hornet's nest. We're trying to make it look like there has been a family of hornets that have beat them to that area. So it's starting to get more narrow here, the opening. So now we're going to do four single crochets. So in the first four, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 2 together. 1 and 2. I'll do it again, one more. 1, let me go slower. 2, 3, 4, and then go into 1. Now we're going to do the decrease, right? So 1, and then go into the second one. 2, so 3 loops on the hook, and pull up all 3. So that's another decrease. So keep doing that, 4 and then decrease 2, 4 and decrease 2, and if you get close to the stitch marker, don't sweat it if you have to decrease it again. So I will be back at the stitch marker. Okay, so I did my last decrease, and I have 2 stitches left, so I'm just going to decrease again. When I get to that stitch marker here, I had two stitches, so I'm just going to decrease that again. So I made another decrease. So next, I like using the stitch markers. You don't have to, but I don't know. I just like using it, so I'm going to put it back on. So next, we're going to do 3 and then 2. 3 and then 2. So 3, 1, 2, 3, and then 2 together. 1 and 2, and all 3. All through 3 loops. Now we do 3 single crochets in the next 3. 1, 2, 3, and then we go into the next one, pull up a loop, and go into the next one beside it, pull up a loop, 3 loops, and that's your decrease again. See? It's getting smaller and smaller, tighter and tighter. We're going to have to start to stuff it soon. So continue doing that, 3 single crochets and then a decrease by stitching 2 together all the way around. Meet you back at the end of the round. Okay, so I'm at the end, so I have to do my 2 together. But my stitch marker is there, so I'm gonna put all 3 of these together. You kind of just make it work for you. And the stitch marker is stuck in here. Okay, so I got that stitch marker out, so I'm just going to put it in the third one. And then pull through all those loops. You see? It's getting smaller. So the next one is 2 stitches and then 2 together. 2 stitches and then 2 together. And I'll just quickly show you how I do that. So 1 and 2 and then 2 together. 1 and 2. Oh, that was on camera. Let's do it again. 1 and 2, and then go into that stitch, pull up a loop, go into the next stitch beside it, pull up a loop, pull through all 3. So now, see, it's getting tighter, so we should start stuffing it. So I'll be right back with some stuffing. Okay, so as you're crocheting, you want to start stuffing. So I just use bags for the hornet's nest. You shouldn't have to waste like some expensive that polyfill one that you buy. That, you know, it's kind of expensive. So just fill it up with shopping bags, old shopping bags. Plus, it's going to be outside, so it might get wet. So, not that it's going to matter, but I could put more in. I don't know if I have any more. I gotta go find some more, but this is how I did it when I did it with the jute twine. and then you just keep doing your decreases. I'll be back. I'm gonna get another bag. Okay, so I really stuffed it really good. It's really nice and full. So stuff it before it gets too small. So now I did the two together, so I have to do 1, 2, 3, and then 2 together. So just continue doing that. 3 and then 2 together, 3, 2 together till you get to the stitch marker or close to the stitch marker, and meet me back. Okay, so I'm close to the stitch marker. I did my 2 together. So I have another stitch before the stitch marker, so I'm just going to do 2 together again. So go into that stitch, then go into the last stitch and put them together. I don't think we need the stitch marker anymore. So now we're supposed to do 2. So 1. All right, so now we're going to do 2. So that's 1 and 2 and then 2 together. Like that. And then just carry on doing the same thing again. So 1 single crochet, 2 single crochet, and 2 together. So go into that stitch, pull up a loop, go into the second stitch, pull up a loop. And just keep going around and around. I can probably just finish this off. 1, 2, because I didn't put the stitch marker on. 2 together. 1, 2, 2 together. See, the hole is getting smaller and smaller. 1, 2. Just going to keep going around and around. And 2 together. 1, 2, and 2 together. See? Getting really small. 1, 2, 2 together. See, it's very tiny now. Almost done. 1 and 2. That's an easy project and effective. And then 2 together. And maybe another round. 1 and 2 and 2 together. Just about done. Maybe one or two more. 1 and 2 and then 2 together. 1 and 2 and just a tiny little hole here. Let me just do a couple more. Finish it off. It's hard to film it because now it's getting big. There. Maybe one more single crochet here. Just like this. Hopefully I can get it on camera here. That's it. It's completely done now. There is my mock hornet's nest. It's done. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. And if you did, try it out. It's really, really easy. I hope that my tutorial, I gave you good instructions. And you're going to try it and get rid of those hornets. And then you can just pull this out like this. Cut your yarn. How did I do it again? I'm trying to remember how I did it. maybe I made this long. Just can't remember. And I kind of just did it on my own after. I didn't really follow that pattern anymore. I just, yeah, so just do it like this. Like that, I guess. And then you can just hang it. Hold on. I think that's all I did. I just cut this off. Let me find my scissors. And I'll just cut it. My scissors are here. Okay, I couldn't find my scissors. I have to really get more organized here, people. I'm sorry. So you cut off your yarn. I don't know, you might have to put a knot in here so that it doesn't come loose. And then I just hang it from here. And that's it. There's your hornet nest. Your mock hornet's nest. I hope you try it. And I hope it helps. It has helped me. It has helped my son-in-law as well, who is allergic to those things. So I hope that you try it out, and I hope it helps out. And I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. I hope it was easy to follow and clear. If you didn't enjoy it, please leave me a comment or give me a thumbs up. And thank you so much for watching. And if you're new here, please subscribe if you enjoyed this content. Thank you once again. We'll talk to you soon. Bye!
Let me show you something.